Love, that ever-flowing liquid fire of life, ever-expanding and illuminating truth, which is always revealed with wisdom, a spiritual nutrient necessary for vitality that is maintained through selflessness, a filter of ether that aids purity, which is love. Love, a limitless paper lantern floating into infinity on the intentions and actions of initiates of the mysteries. Welcome, fellow Phoenixes, to the Spiritual Phoenix Podcast, where we make a daily offering to the divine by putting our past on the fire, searching the smoke for spirituality, turning the ashes into art, and adapting isolation into connection. I am Ross Cessna, and together we are the Spiritual Phoenix. The intent of this show isn't to tell you what to think, but to get you to think and originally articulate yourself in a way that is uplifting. We are the artists of our lives, and today is a blank canvas. Let's collectively create a better tomorrow. And now I'd like to take a moment and focus on what we're grateful for today. Today I'm grateful for the experiences that lead me back to being humble and that teach me humility. Oftentimes it comes from being somewhat arrogant and making a fool of myself, and then being humbled by my own actions, which, if that's the process that I need, I'm grateful that I can be aware of it at times when I kind of outgrow my own humility and bend towards arrogance, because it puts me in place. I'm going to read another review right now. This one is from Captain Nixie. I have a sneaking suspicion who that may be, and I thank you for the review. Ross discovered me through the Positive Head podcast, and he was inspired to create the Spiritual Phoenix. His teachings and insights are straight from his poetic heart. His words flow straight from source as a channel for the divine. Thank you, Ross, for owning your truth as a light warrior and providing these powerful messages to the world. Love you. I love you too, Nixie. I appreciate you and your efforts, and connecting with you and the chat that we had on the podcast on an earlier episode. It's cool to have somebody who I view somewhat as somebody that I've learned a lot of stuff from, a mentor or a teacher or whatever, kind of reflect that respect back to me in many ways. So yeah, I appreciate you, Nixie. And now I'm going to get into a couple of quotes for today's episode. One learns to ignore criticism by first learning to ignore applause. And that was said by Robert Brault. The proof of spiritual maturity is not how pure you are, but awareness of your impurity. That very awareness opens the door to grace. And that was said by Philip Yancey. Awareness of our own arrogance is the grindstone used to hone the blade of humility. And that's one of my quotes that I wrote for this. Lately in my life, I've been experiencing a little bit more anger, some impatience with why am I not progressing, some self-doubt. Why is this podcast not doing better than it is? This, that, or the other thing. And what I've came to the conclusion to yesterday is I was getting a little bit arrogant with everything. I was looking for recognition for my efforts more so than I'm already getting. And I appreciate the recognition that I get. When I started this, my intent necessarily wasn't to be recognized. It was just to do this and have fun doing it, express myself, express my opinions. I'm able to do that, and I've gotten so comfortable doing that I've kind of become arrogant in the sense that I have something people need to hear. or whatever, where I have some kind of divine truth. And the reality of that is, I have truths for me. I've learned truths for me. And those truths can shift as I gain more understanding. I don't have the solutions for everybody. This may not resonate with everybody. It won't resonate with everybody. There are some people that it works for, and I'm grateful for the people that do appreciate this. The people that listen to this and enjoy this, thank you so much, and I'm grateful for you taking the time out of your day to listen to my perspectives on different things. It's greatly appreciated. The next quote: the proof of spiritual maturity is not how pure you are, but awareness of your impurity. That very awareness opens the door to grace. A lot of the anger that I've been going through is based on self-righteousness, in the sense that, well, I'd never act like that. I'm better than that. This, that, and the other, about other things that people are doing. And the reality of it is, I'm entirely hypocritical, because sometimes I've fallen into those same traps. Sometimes I still do. And one of the things, I was getting upset about somebody complaining about somebody else. But then when I caught myself, I was complaining about somebody complaining about someone complaining. Like, how foolish is that? And all these things are lessons. I could shove this down and say, no, I'm entitled to be this way. I'm entitled to act the way. And the thing is, I totally can. Nothing's holding me back from maintaining that anger or wanting to reach more people or things like that. But the reality of it is, not being content with the things that I have in this exact moment makes me miserable. It doesn't create any of those other things, and it creates this system of perpetually seeking the horizon. So I mean, in one of the senses it does. In one, for like the looking for more like people to appreciate this, or looking for more people to listen to this, what it creates is this mentality of there's never enough. I don't even know the percentage wise, and like a very high percentage more people listening to this than when I started. And I'm creating this dialogue in my head where this isn't progressing how it should. I'm not doing it enough. Not enough people are praising me. And that's the thing. If I fall into this trap of seeking praise from other people, that opens me up to criticism as well. I have been comfortable in doing this and expressing things without the need for recognition. And that's what I need to maintain. And I need to remember that when people compliment me, I can't be swayed by that any more than I am by being criticized. Now, in regards to the spiritual maturity thing, being a horizon, and the one, it's kind of like I captured the horizon. This is the one where chasing the horizon for spiritual maturity is something that is kind of a good thing. That's a horizon I don't want to reach, because there is always room for spiritual growth. It's not like I can reach this destination and then the desire to change that. I mean, the desire, it's not like I can reach a destination and then be like, oh, I'm done growing spiritually. Because to me, that's spiritual death yet again. There is no end point to personal development, in my opinion. I mean, I guess the end point in this physical body will be when my physical body is laid to rest, so to speak. What happens with my soul? I don't know. Maybe I go on to the next level and things are difficult and I have to apply other principles. I can't say specifically. I've probably been dead before. I mean, I have, because I wasn't always existing, but I don't remember what happened. It was like death was a Kager, and I totally don't remember what I did. And as far as my quote, awareness of our own arrogance is the grindstone used to hone the blade of humility. That is off the horizon, in the sense that I'm always going to need to hone my blade of humility. It's if I start thinking, oh, I'm so humble, I'm the humblest. Look at how humble I can be. Nobody can humble like me. I'm the humbliest humble that ever humbled a humble. I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm not practicing humility in that instance. It's kind of like when I recognize, oh, look how humble I'm being. I'm not being humble. I'm being humble when I'm not being aware of it. And I've learned that humility isn't self-deprecation or self-deflation. It's a realistic evaluation of my assets and my detriments. Because if I'm too self-deprecating, I'm definitely not being humble, because then I'm lowering myself. Oh, I'm never good enough, this, that, or the other. That's not a healthy position, and it can be as detrimental as thinking I'm the best. I don't need any more development. Look at how great I am. And that's kind of the trap I was falling into, the look at how great I am. I've said it before, I'm wise enough to know how foolish I am, and foolish enough to think how wise I am. At the end of the day, I may know more than I did before, but the reality of it is I can't really even know anything. I can have feelings, intuitions, beliefs on things, but I can't inherently know. And even if I am more in a better understanding of things in my perception, having more than nothing, having more than like very little, doesn't mean that I know a lot or have a lot. I'm constantly learning, constantly refining, constantly redefining my beliefs, expanding some beliefs, and minimizing others in some ways when they've overgrown their usefulness. Humility is a process. It's not a one and done. I'm just grateful that being in recovery has allowed me to learn lessons and practice humility before I get out of line with everything. I'm still kind of balancing out from that impatience, that arrogance, that anger, that I was going through. But at the end of the day, I'm human, I'm fallible, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to scrape my knees and burn my hands, metaphorically, physically possibly too. But that's how I learn lessons. If I'm in a comfortable little space, little safe padded room, and I never have any experiences, I'm not going to learn anything. Most of my growth comes from my negative experiences. Not to say that I don't have some growth in positive ones. I've said this before too. A lot of my positive experiences ended up being negative, and a lot of my negative experiences ended up being positive. Right now, it seems like a lot of my positive experiences tend to be positive more so, and a lot of my negative experiences tend to be positive. Even with the things that I've been through, it's still something I can be grateful for. I'm not embarrassed to make mistakes. What's more embarrassing to me than making a mistake is seeing it, not correcting it, and then trying to hide it. That's really all I can say on this. This episode was pre-recorded too. I'm going to pre-record some of these coming up so I can take a little bit of time off. But yeah, if you like this, you can follow me on social media at Spiritual Phoenix. There's the spelling of it in the banner below. You can visit the website, thespiritualphoenix.com. Also, if you like tarot readings, you can follow me on Instagram or on Facebook. There'll be a link in the description below. I can't really add it to the banner. I love, respect, and appreciate all of you. Love and light. Namaste. Time to put this episode on the pyre.
Don't believe. Don't follow. Do not consume. Do not watch. Largely what I'm talking about here is reclaiming experience. This is what's been taken from us. It's a self-advancing, self-expanding, self-defining process, and it takes no prisoners.
The real world isn't a spiritual world, it isn't a material world, it isn't an empty world, it isn't a solid world. It's simply